So the study itself, it's pretty interesting. It's done in California. They gathered published data from between 2013 and 2015 on PFA levels in drinking water. So they just used kind of the water district boundaries, okay? And they gathered that data. They know how much PFAs are in water in a given area. Then they went and gathered data on 10,200 California-born children between the ages of 0 and 15 that were diagnosed with cancer at that time.
Wow.
So they have their address. They know based on the data that they've gathered from their water district what the PFA levels were. They compared it against 30,000 children of that same age that thankfully had not developed cancer. So they do have a control group.
Yep.
Okay. So they put in significant measures to control for various demographic, socioeconomic factors. Because I know a lot of times when you're looking at correlative studies, it's, well, yes, they're doing this, but it's because they also don't have the access to this.
Right.
Or, there's cultural things. There's all kind of reasons, and not that these measures eliminate them, but they are accounted for. They are dealt with.
They're trying to take it into account.
Exactly. It's in here to whatever degree it's effective. We don't know.
Okay.
So they found increased cancer rates in children from areas with the elevated PFA levels. Brain cancer or gliomas, 26% increased rate. AML, which is a type of leukemia, 14% increased rate. Wilms tumors, which is a type of kidney cancer, 15%. Non-Hodgkin lymphoma, 19%. So significant.
Yeah.
Now there are other cancers. There's not the only cancers they looked at. There are other cancers that there was not an increase. But these are there were others that had more of a mild increase, but these are the ones that kind of stood out.
Yeah. I mean, a 20% increase that's an increase.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a significant number of people. So they're looking at, 40,000 in total, 10,000 of them have been diagnosed and 30,000 have not. So this is not, looking at 50 people or looking at one little area. They went to multiple water districts.
Yeah.
This is also on the heels of a 2023 publication by the International Agency for Cancer Research that linked PFA levels in humans with kidney, testicular cancer, some data, but a little weaker on breast, prostate, liver, and colorectal cancer.
Wow. Man, so they are everywhere.
Yes.
It seems like it's impossible to get away from them. What do we do?
Yeah. And this is where I guess it kind of gets more into a discussion. But I think first and foremost for me, it is the water. Mm-hmm. And it's because we know that reverse osmosis systems, there are other smaller brands that have different products you can look at. But I think one of the key things that you can know broadly is that reverse osmosis has been shown to remove PFAs, not to mention the chlorine and the metals and bacteria has been shown to remove PFAs. So I think, again, you could say, hey, what am I supposed to do? Never wear a waterproof coat, all those things. Well, again, that's why I went into a little bit about the polymerization effect, about the difference between it being on a coat that you have on versus ingesting it.
Yep.
So no, you cannot control from top to bottom forever chemicals.
Right.
Okay. But you can control ingesting water. And I think when you look at this aspect here with kids, I find it interesting because it's a small age difference, but not so small that you couldn't quite correlate the data. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
If you start looking at 70-year-olds and look at their water history, they may have moved 5 times.
Right.
There may be so many other factors. With kids in a 15-year age window, not that some of these kids couldn't have moved and all those things, but that's why there's 40,000 of them. That I really think you could, it's not too big where there's too many other factors. Right. And you're also not dealing with other conditions. You're not dealing with diabetes and with cardiovascular disease. You're looking at smoking. They're kids.
Yeah. Kids and cancer is a pretty rare combo.
Yes.
Thankfully.
Yes. And obviously there's genetic factors. There's lots of things we don't know, but this is one that, again, I think because of who they're looking at, not just because children always are going to have an impact with us, but because, again, they're a clean slate relatively.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's why I found this very interesting.
And just side issue, reverse osmosis filters, we don't sell anything like that.
Exactly.
So we're not this isn't a scare tactic to make more money. We're not going to make any money. But you should probably get a reverse osmosis filter.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we talk about this a lot. And
if you are a reverse osmosis company, though, and you'd like to sponsor us. No, I'm kidding.
But I mean, it's just the classic thing. All right, so you read about this and you're like, I'm getting reverse osmosis. I'm not going to pay attention to whole food diet. And you're going to go all these other things. And this is your answer, or this is what you're doing. I think the whole point of this show, in a sense, is to explain that how multifactorial things are. We're not here to now grab this and say, "Well, see, if you fix this, then now you're." It's a part to a massive puzzle.
Forget food dyes. Forget overeating. Forget exercise. Forget supplementation. Forget pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
It's the water and the PFAS.
Right. And that's just the way it seems like everything goes now. Yeah. So that's not what we're saying either. But we're saying that there is significant risk.
Yeah.
In a population that I find valuable insight gained by, not just because they're children, but because of what we just discussed.
Yeah.
There's other benefits to reverse osmosis. And also, if you go right on and look at a whole house filter and the plumber, it's expensive. If you go look at an under-counter system, no, it's not that expensive, but you've got to have something drilled. But there are countertop units. So there's all levels of what you can do. This is not, let me put in my $2,000 system. You can get a countertop unit. I actually got one pretty recently. My wife and I use it in our coffee. That's what we give to our kids. So it's not something everybody can do. I get that, but it's something that I think from the ingesting standpoint, you can help. Brita type filters are fine. They're going to get rid of metals. They're going to get rid of chlorine. They are not going to get rid of PFAS. Of course, though, this is becoming an increasingly bigger topic. They have an elite line because Brita is always the one you hear of. So yes, you can still get away with the Brita. Just there's an elite line. But I would say overall, if you're looking it up, just look up the PFAS. I think because basically, if it removes PFAS, it's removing everything else. So it's not going to come at any type of cost. It's going to be limited, or it's going to be PFAS and everything down the line.